Hello, good evening, welcome. My name is Kwabena and welcome. Uh, I want to share with you tonight. Feed yourself for the journey. Feed yourself for the journey of life, for your business journey, for your career journey, whatever is connected to you. You have got to feed yourself. Be prepared for it. Equip yourself, tool yourself, position yourself for this journey. For this journey of business, for this journey where you want to make yourself relevant, where you want to make yourself at least involved and counted. So, how do you feed yourself? Whatever you feed yourself with is what is responsible for your life, for your health. Whatever you feed yourself with, the food that you eat, the water that you drink, however you feed your physical body, it has a lot to do with the strength that you have, the sicknesses that come to you, the energy level that you have. It's the same with the way you feed your personality, your mind, your spirit, your world. How you feed that is going to be the foundation upon which everything else stems from you, from the foundation upon which you build everything. And I am much particular with those of us from this part of the world, how we a lot, so many of us have been fed not for the hope that we have to be realized. So many of us have been fed and we have serious big vision, but the only thing that has fed us, or the things that have fed us, are not the things that can really help us to realize our dreams. And sometimes it's just a tough question to ask. And so you feed yourself for the journey, feed yourself for this journey of life. If you want to be prosperous, if you want to be peaceful, if you want to get results, if you want to have fruit, there are so many things that you have to know, and much of it is what is feeding you, what has formed your mind, what has shaped your thought as a person up to now, from the first day you were born to now, the family you were born into, the region, the district, even the tribe, the country that you were born into. A lot of things have fed you. Now, those, if you didn't have any intention to really feed yourself for the life that you want to live, then your results or your frustrations will not be so much different from uh, the feedings that you have had all your life. And so, my name is Kwabena and I'm talking about feed yourself for the life that you want to live, because nobody is responsible for the results that you're getting in your life. I am not responsible for your results, and you are definitely not responsible for the results that I'm getting. You are getting, for your life. And so, what is it that is building you? What is it that has shaped you? Do you ask questions of this? Because majority of us, the only thing that we have ever counted on for us to, the tools, the skill set, the very things that you need to meet this life and succeed. Most of us rely on, the academics, the school. So you went to school to study something, and now you are facing life and you see that life is tough, life is difficult. You thought that when, majority of us, when we were in school, we thought that once you complete school and you come to live life, you find a job, you marry, everything else will be all right. And then you have come out and you see that it's not like that, because the skill set that you need, the knowledge that you need, the feed that you need to live life is entirely different from what they fed you in the classroom. And then those of us who are Christians or who are religious then leave everything and hope that God one day will make us successful. It's not like that, according to how I have found out. So I remember when we started to fidget with business and entrepreneurship and things like that. We were ill-equipped that time, and we didn't even have an idea that we were so much ill-equipped for that journey. Some people say that, you know, well, what happens if you have nothing to do and you're still growing? What happens when you have completed college, you have been in the house you have been at home for 5 years, 7 years, and nobody is employing you, or at least you are not getting the job that you want? What happens? You just have to find a way to do something. But that which will push you to do something will be the very things that have been feeding you up to the point that you have to take that decision. And so if you just rely on the accounting that you studied in school, on the engineering that you studied in school, on the drawing, on the graphics, on the architecture, on the pharmacy that you learned in school, on the law, life sometimes and most often will be difficult. That's why if you look really, and if you look at Africa, so the very things that can help us to build things with some level of morality and with some level of ethics, usually the frustration, because if you are going to stay with the system in truth and honesty and with some morality and ethics, then you must have the information, you must have the feed that really can get you the results. And from where I sit, I think that a lot of things, the way we've been programmed, cannot get us the results, and that's why that's why they say corruption is very high. Corruption is very high because most people would want to get ahead in life, but then the feeding that we have had all these years are weak. Those feedings are weak, and therefore, if we stay with the process, if you stay being honest and credible, then the tools that we have may not be able to get us the results that we want. So that's why eventually it gets to a point that you see that people start to cut corners, people start to lie, because the feeding all their lives cannot get the results that they want. And so my name is something that I'm talking about. Feed yourself for the journey. You must understand that your mindset, how you think, is responsible for a lot of things. Not everything, but a lot of things. With respect with your life. I mean, the results that you get with your life, whether it's the business, whether it's the career, your productivity level has a lot to do with the things that you have fed yourself. You have fed yourself. What is your thinking on work? What is your thinking on getting things done? How do you think about problems that come up and how do you solve them? What are your thoughts on money? How do you even see yourself? What do you think your life is about? Those things, how you think of them. If you don't really sit down to plan intentionally and you depend on the culture, you depend on the school, you depend on just the religion, it will be very difficult. You get to a point to see that you just hope that when you die, you go to heaven, and that's all. But I think that a lot of us were, not everybody, but a lot of us were sent down here to earth to do something, not just to pass here and go to heaven or something like that. So you have to look. When we started, there were so many mistakes that we did. We registered businesses that had no projects. Uh, we collapsed a lot of things. We did projects that we lost money. We took people's money that we didn't even know. We didn't understand the finances. We didn't understand the interest rate. We're just moving around. People will come to you, give you a lot of promises. It was so clear, but you could not even see, because the things that we had fed ourselves up to that point were not able to prepare us to see and see well. And I think that that is how most people, even in their 50s, they still have not been able to feed. Sometimes even in their 30s, they still have not been able to feed the very nutrients that they need to meet life and become successful with their aspirations, whatever pattern of life that you have taken. I think that everybody wants to become successful at something, but you have to know that which you need to feed yourself with to become successful in whatever area that. So you have to understand that the culture, this culture that we grew up in, is not supportive of risk. You can't debate, but the Ghanaian culture is very much supportive of the common. If you dare to be different, you will not have support. And so, and nobody becomes successful at anything if they are just like everybody else. And so, if you want to build a business, if you want to become great at anything, maybe you want to become the president of the country, it's likely that your family, the friends, the community that you come from will not give you that support. It's not much likely that they will talk you out of your dream. It's so much likely that they will tell you that what do you want to start a business? Why don't you just go and look for a job? You have gone to school and you say what you want to start a business to sell tomato. Who does this? So why did you go to school? Why did you go through all this if you knew that you were going to sell tomato? Because the culture is still at a very primary definition. So if you want to become something, if you want to live your dream, because there is something in everybody that we want to live. If you don't understand this culture that much, this culture is not there to support you. Your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your parents may not support you at all for you to dare. But for the best of the knowledge that I see, most people, when they try to do something that can launch them into something significant, most often than not, they have had to deal with a lot of antagonism from the immediate community, and sometimes even from the whole country as a large. Because Mondays, if you are going through town and you look at people's faces when they are going to work, you see that they are not happy. I don't think that our people, when they are going to work, they are jubilant like that. A lot of people they like fun, especially those who work for others. And so, if you are coming from this kind of background, then you have to feed yourself differently from the common one. You have to feed yourself. You have to change your mind, because you cannot think like everybody who thinks that you don't have to dare. You don't have to be different. You don't have to go contrary to what everybody else knows. You don't, because when you start something, when you start a business, whatever project that you have in your heart that you want to do, in the beginning it's difficult, it's tough. You're throwing chance. A lot of things will not work as you plan, no matter how much you even plan. When you hit the ground, a lot of things will be different. Now, if you're going to run with the same script that everybody knows, you will give up on your dream. You will quit. You will stop. Why? Because it doesn't work like that. What works is that you have to have the right feeding, the right information to go after your dreams, to go after that business, to go after anything that you want to build that you hope to make it successful. You have to understand that a lot of the things that you need to build those things are with you. You have them. The drive, the persistence, the energy that you need, the thinking that you need, the skill set that you need. You can develop them yourself. But if you depend on these associations and culture, you give up. That's why most people can talk about their dream, and they never do anything, because they don't feed themselves. The moment you start to stretch yourself, then you have to understand that, no, this place that I've grown up in this stage, and in terms of work, you employ anybody, when they come to the workplace, very few are thinking ordinary when they come to the workplace and they have not been trained. Very few are coming there to work and expect to be compensated according to the amount of work that they have done. Majority of them, they are coming to work only for the pay. So the work ethics is very wrong. And if you want to become, if you want to build a business, if you want to grow your business, if you want to be different, you cannot carry this general work ethics to your business. Because majority of the people, and they just show up to be paid. Most of them are looking for houses and cars, and most of them don't even care the way they get the money to buy the house, or the way they get the money to buy that car. This is it. And so if you are going to do something different, because there's no point trying to build anything great if the fundamentals are not right. If you're going to build a business and you're going to be a crook, there's no need. Don't build that business. It's a journey that will destroy you. And yet, if you're going to be honest, then you have got to feed yourself rightly, so that you get the right nutrients to continue to go, because the journey is going to be that long. It's not going to be simple. It's not going to be that easy. You have got to be tough. You have got to be crazy. You have got to be opposite to normal thinking. You've got to have you have to have drive when everybody says that it's not going to work. You have to have your own support system, both innately and externally. You have to have that, and you are going to build this kind of thing when you start to feed yourself differently from what you're hearing. How are you going to work? Because if you don't work well, how do you handle your time? Are you going to go to every funeral? Are you going to go to every meeting? Because the thing that you're building, it needs attention, it needs time input, it needs work. If you are not giving in the right time, the right input, the right amount of work, you're not going to see results. And there are a lot of people who start things and they think that they can just do it anyhow and still expect results. Anything that you have ever done that you started to see big results, they didn't come because you just happen to have luck or lotto or what we the Christians will call, God's intervention or miracles. Growth, development, progress is systemic, is structural, is a process. So your understanding, your ability to build process, structure, systems around that which you're doing is the very thing that is going to be responsible for the success, the consistent success, the continuous success that you're going to enjoy, the growth that you're going to see with your business, with anything that you're involved in. The models that you have built, those are the things that are going to be responsible for the results. And that's why there's still going to be a lot of poverty until we start to think in terms of structure, in terms of systems, in terms of models, and in terms of how things are able to get predicted. Those who are able to build businesses until they got to the point where they built structures around it, until they got to the point where they understood the systems, the data, the processes that you have to go through to build any business, any type of business. Until they got to that point, they were still not successful. So does it occur to you that most of these great business people, a lot of them even have a science, engineering, mathematics, technology background? Why? Because those people are able to start to understand steady systems and structure. They're able to build processes that can produce results that quickly. And so, the other day we were having debate. Africa is not going to develop by prayer. Africa is not going to develop by hope or miracle. It's going to develop when we start to build our own structures. Say the healthcare system must be built. If you go to any country that is serious, they have structures built to handle their waste, to handle their the water, to handle the education, to handle their food. You go to some countries, 2, 3, maybe 10% of the people are in agriculture, and they're still able to produce so much and feed their people. You go to another country, you have them maybe 70% or 60% are in agriculture, yet they're still importing. Why? Because it's systems and structures that are built to produce and controlled. You can control and build because. And somebody will say that, are you saying that God, this is not God? When it comes to growth, development, prosperity, a lot of it has got to do with systems, structures. And these are the things that you have to feed yourself with. If you are going to hope that just one day things will work out, that is where the problem is. Things are not just going to work out like that. Things are going to work out when you start to develop your skill set, when you start to build structures around what you're doing, when you start to understand, you're able to study and predict the growth of that business. So until you feed yourself differently, if you go with the general feeding that we have had all our lives, that's why you can see that we're still struggling. We're still, trying to evolve. Our major challenge as a group of people is because we don't understand how things are built and how things are controlled. So we hope and believe that things will work out like that. And you don't want to face this life journey like that. It's not hope. It's not lotto. It's not magic. It's not one day God will do it for you. You cannot think like that and be successful and be at peace. You will feel frustrated. You feel like you're out of control. You feel like nothing works for you because you are not feeding yourself with a thing that will make you strong and that will develop your skill set, that will develop your strength, that will make you grow, that will make you take charge of that which you're building. And so my name is Kwabena. I'm saying that feed yourself strong. Feed yourself for the journey because life is a journey. It's not the end itself. It's a journey. Life is you're supposed to do something with the life that you have. You have to build something with the life that you have. For instance, Ghana is not the ultimate. Ghana is there so that we can develop a country that will make people successful to achieve their dreams. That's the reason we have a country. But to most people, the country is the end. But the country is not the end. The country is a means to develop a people who will live their dreams, change a lot of things, help. So the same with your life. Your life is there. You feed your life with quality, you produce quality. If you feed your life with trash, you produce trash. So whatever that you're building, change your thinking on that. Feed yourself with the right information. Because a lot understand that you have all that you need to face this life journey, and you're equipped. Commit to studying and doing all that you can to continue to stretch yourself. Commit to study, feed yourself, study about the finance, study about people, study about management. Study, because you cannot do more than what your mind is able to understand. Your skill set, the level of your skill set is the level of your leadership, the level of your skill set, the level of your understanding, of your knowledge, of your exposure, the level, my level. Whatever that I'm doing, nobody knows it all, but every one of us has got to develop something. How are you able to withstand pressure and difficulty? Are you able to withstand disagreement and lawsuits and people vilifying you and insulting you? Are you able to go through that? If your feeding is weak, when anybody disagrees with you, you want to cry, you want to weep, you want to give up. When somebody ridicules you, when your feeding is weak, you are weak. Emotionally, you're soft because you are not feeding yourself with things that will make you strong and withstand and continue to go when everybody falls off. Because those who win are those who are able to stand when everybody else is falling off. When everybody else, when the people you began with start to become enemies against you, because all those things will happen. When those people who you thought will help you decide not to help you, would you continue to go? You will only continue to go because your feeding is different from the others. You're feeding yourself with strength. You're feeding yourself with things that will, the same instance will happen. Somebody will kill himself and somebody will use this as a tool to get to the next stage. The difference is what they feed themselves with. So if you're a business person, if you're an entrepreneur, the population, the percentage of the population that are able to pick and build business from nothing, very, very small, even in well-structured environment. So here, if you're able to build a business and employ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, you cannot joke with the things that you feed yourself, or you'll be frustrated. When people start to come to tell you that, this business is not going to work because I dreamt, and somebody, when you believe those things, and when you're controlled by the superstition, when you're controlled by the prophets, when you're controlled by all these people who are trying to tell you God told them this, and I wonder why that God will not tell you. When you live your life in the hands of those, you'll be weak. You believe that you don't have anything, you don't have any power, somebody must help you. Those things are the things that are going to make you frustrated, and they are going to stampede your growth and your progress, because you are not feeding yourself rightly. Feed yourself, because the essence of right feeding is strength, is energy, is the fuel to keep going. Because if I don't eat well, I cannot run. I cannot, for the last 3, 4, 5 days, if you have not eaten, you'll be frail, you'll be fragile. Why? So the same, the things that you're feeding your ecology, the things that you're feeding your system, you as a person, what are the things that are modeling you? Your understanding of if they mention any word, your understanding of that word is so critical. How the depth of your understanding of any word, when they say money, how do you understand it? The way you understand money is responsible for how much is coming to you. The way you understand when they say business, how do you understand it? When they say people, how do you understand? When they say love, what is your depth? What is your understanding of it? When they say patriotism, what is your understanding of it? When they say, let's say woman, what is your understanding of her? Because the depth of your understanding, all your reactions and your decisions are going to come from that. And they will be stretched because you've been able to feed yourself well. So in this life, there are a lot of things that rest with what is feeding us, and you have to decide the food that you eat. You have to decide who you listen to, who is teaching you. You have to decide the things that you've been listening to, are they getting you results? You cannot live for the last 10, 20, 30 years. You keep listening to the same thing, you keep feeding on the same thing, and you're not going anywhere. You have to sit back, audit your life, and say that these things that I've been listening to, I'm not getting anywhere with this kind of information. I keep on blaming demons and everybody. I keep on, being fear. One of the proofs that the feed is weak and wrong is when you are full of fear. When you're scared of your life, when you're scared of accident, when you're scared of demons, when you're scared of losses, when you're scared of taking the risk, when you're scared of everybody around you, when you live so much in doubt, it means that the feed is wrong. One of the proofs that the feed is right is the confidence, the faith that you exhibit, the self-belief, the self-discovery, the self-identity, the reliance that you start to build means that whatever is feeding you, when you start to, get up, when you're weak, when somebody is weak and they have not eaten, the proof is that when they start to give that person food and that person starts to get, when you are struck down by malaria, when it starts to, when they give you the medicine and the medicine starts to work, you see that you start to get up, you start to get energy. The same, when you start to believe, have confidence, you know that I can go again, even though the first one didn't work. You know that, oh no, this thing I can do it. I'm more responsible for it. And when you start to take charge of the errors and the problems in whatever that you're doing, when you say that I'm responsible, it means that you know that you are strong. And those things mean that whatever is feeding you is right. But when you are scared and you blame everybody and you move around and you don't trust anybody, and you are going from here to Kumasi, you're going to do 3-day fasting, you're scared, those things, it means that your feeding is wrong. And the feeding could be religious, could be cultural, it could be politics, it could be the media. All these things, they create a lot of fear in you. It means that you've been ill-informed. And those will reflect in your results, because the more courageous, the more daring you are, because life is built out of that. Anybody who starts anything is going to go through challenges, but those who continue to go, in spite of all the fallings and the disagreements, the losses, the pains, those who continue to fight back, those are the ones who succeed. And you're not going to fight back. You're not going to stay in the fight, in the race, when your feeding is wrong, because then you don't have energy for the journey. And when you don't have energy for the journey, you give up on the fight. So my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about feed yourself. Feed yourself for this journey of life. Feed yourself for this journey of life. Feed yourself. Anything that is taking confidence from you. If somebody has become God over your finances, if somebody has become everything that you have to do, you have to go and consult some medium somewhere. You don't believe in the data and the analysis and the structure. Whatever you're doing has no future. People who have built anything, go and look at all these global businesses. They have structures. They have things that they have built. They can count on. They have data. They can look at they can open the computer and analyze issues. They can look at this and analyze this. They can tell you. They can project their sales. They can tell you that December 22nd, this is what we are expecting to get. And they can track it from the history. They are organized. They built something. They are informed. They can predict. Those are the things that are responsible for the successes. And so if you're not feeding yourself rightly, you don't have any data. You cannot predict anything. You cannot project anything. You feel like you have nothing. And that you think that you're going to succeed is because your feeding has been wrong. And if you're coming from our culture, there are so many things that we must improve. So many things that you must improve. So you have to tell yourself, I am going to work and work well. The business that I'm building, the marriage that I'm building, the country that we say we are building, we are not ready yet to build a country. If you're ready, you will see it. We will work to develop this country. You cannot take and steal from a country that you love. So the moment you see a lot of corruption, it means that the people are not ready to build a country. You cannot steal from what you're building. You cannot destroy what you're building and expect it to still stand. So the work ethics, if the moment you see, these are the things that you have to feed yourself, your work ethics, you start to do more work more. You want to get results. You don't play. When the customers are calling, you're not giving excuses. You're smiling. You go to work. You create a culture of the business where people come to work. You take care of the people, the team that you work with. You respect them. You give them maximum respect. You open up. You delegate to build their confidence. It means you're ready. And you cannot do this if you have the other feeding. The other feeding is that don't trust anybody, don't give anybody any responsibility, make sure that your wife is there, your children are there covering you, don't trust. Those things are wrong feeding. That's why you're still very small, very myopic, and you cannot do anything, and you live in fear and you're scared because you don't have the right feeding. Once you start to have the right feeding, you start to trust this team. You start to develop the quality. You start to build a culture that can get results. You don't play with the work. You can see, you can leave the place for the other person to handle, and you can go to sleep because you have built their psyche. You have built what they should value. You have extended yourself in people. You have taught them what it takes to build anything, and to grow anything and to make anything successful. You have taken it upon yourself to build them, because until the team is built, you have nothing. And until the team can think and see as you are seeing, you're not going anywhere. So the work ethics, the trust, the respect that you have for people, it cannot be the feed that you have had. You have to feed yourself differently to say that these are people, whether they are old or young, you have maximum respect for them, and they have maximum respect for you. They have trust for you. You develop them. You don't say that if I train them, they will go away. What do you mean by if you train them, they will go away? You training them not only for them, but also for you. So your ability to be able to build a strong team has a lot to do with your skill set to build a strong team. Not because the people you train them and they went away. No, because anytime that you have any group of people, if you're not training them, the business is not going anywhere. And that feeding, that kind of perception, that kind of psyche will only come because you're developing yourself. So you have to have that. You have to think like that. You have to know that if you are not doing the right things well, if you're not giving the work the right amount of time, we are not going anywhere. We are not succeeding. So if you don't feed yourself with this, you must have the elements and focus on them. The things that will increase productivity. The things that will increase productivity. How they come to work. What time do they come to work? And when they come to work, do they work? When you come to work, do you work? Because the country that we come from, the programming, the mindset has limited us so much, and we are not even aware. So you get to your late and you see that you have not achieved anything. You have not achieved much with your life except the car and the house. Why? Because you thought that the feeding that you had from wherever that you had, you thought it was enough. And yet nobody faces life, and nobody wins in this life with the average common training that all of us were given. So your ability to go the extra mile and look for the things that will make sure whatever you're doing will succeed. Those things are not common on the market. You have to stretch yourself to get them. And a lot of them would have to come from your understanding, your knowledge, your wisdom, the psyche, the mindset that you're building. And that those are built based on the feeding. What are you studying? What are you reading? What are you exposed to? Those are the things that are going to build you. And until you are built, you cannot produce. Whatever that you're producing is coming from what you have built. The psyche, the skill. And so if what you're producing is weak, it's because what you have built is weak. And I'm saying that, the way I see the Africans and the Ghanaians, what we have built is very weak. That's why we are not producing any results. See, we just talk about radio. That's it. Politics. Talk about politics and what again? Talk about church, religiosity, and that's all. The people who are producing in any country, they are committed to developing themselves all the time. They are stretching themselves. They are challenging their thought. They're getting results. They are committed to discovery. They are committed to finding, breaking things down, knowing what works, what doesn't work. Those are and those are the things that the other countries are doing. And for us, we are doing something else. And so they understand that without you committing to some of these things, it will be very difficult for you to see the successes. And if you start a business, you have to understand that it takes a lot of effort to get results. And the effort are founded on the feeding, the development, your energy, your psyche, your understanding. So if those things are weak, you have weak results. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much.